a lot of people feel this doesn't mean anything other than for show. But when you had Miami test, is it not remarkable how many people wanted so much to use Uber Eats to be able to get coffee and pastries to their place?
Well, what's amazing is the Starbucks brand, but also the product. And being able to get coffee, croissants, etc. in under 30 minutes at your desk or at your home was just a home run. And when we saw that in the Miami pilot, we decided, hey, this is something that we can expand. And what's amazing about working with Starbucks is that the discipline in terms of the end-to-end customer experience is incredible in terms of integrating with their systems, etc. So we couldn't ask for a better partner to learn from and hopefully to grow with.
Now, I'll go to you, Kevin, because as someone who owns a couple of restaurants, what I'm conscious of is that you've got to choose the guy who can make it so it's hot when it gets there. Right. You're the #1 account in this country. Why did you choose these guys?
Well, first of all, we've learned a lot as we launched Starbucks Delivers in China in partnership with Alibaba. And so we've taken a lot of those learnings and we've actually shared them with Dara and his team at Uber Eats. But the thing that made Uber Eats the right strategic partner for us to now announce Starbucks Delivers in the United States in partnership with Uber Eats was the fact that we had kind of a shared view of let's make sure that we integrate the technology in a way that seamlessly flows from the order into the store. And then we applied some of the things we learned in China. When we prepare beverages, we know how to prepare those beverages at the right temperature, so by the time they are handed to the customer, they cool down a bit and they're the exact temperature as if you were in the Starbucks store and handed to you from the barista. So we are using technology and we're using the learning that our partners in stores have had in China to create a great experience for customers who want to order for Starbucks Delivers.
Next week, the Federal Reserve meets. And one of the things they're so worried about is basically full employment. They want to be sure that there are enough workers to go around without having wage inflation. Both of you gentlemen have single-handedly tried to pay your workers more. Is the government antithetical to what you believe we should have workers be able to make in this country?
I don't know if the government is antithetical to it. I think that the fact is that the economy now is doing very well, that labor is at full employment, and for the first time you're seeing earnings go up. And we think that's a positive force.
Workers are allowed to make little money in this country versus CEOs?
Workers are allowed to make more money, and we think that's by the way, that's a good economic force. So we see it with our driver partners, we see it with our delivery partners, and I think that's a terrific force going forward for us.
Now, will that be reflected in people not want to be take shares in your IPO because your gross margins might not be as good as others because you like to make it so that we pay your drivers more?
The good news is we're a growth company, and growth is coming from plenty of places, including Uber Eats with this partnership that we're having with Starbucks.
Kevin, when I think about Uber Eats, when I think about this economy, what it says to me is something that you taught me. We are in a digitized economy, which allows personalization and allows better service. Your tech background, is it helping you? You used to run Juniper, a great company. Is it helping you? Is it infusing your thinking about what individuals should get, whether it be at this fabulous roastery or just every day when we go to Starbucks?
Well, I think it is, Jim. In fact, the relationship that I developed with Daniel at Alibaba in China for the China Digital Partnership and with Dara around what we're doing with Starbucks Delivers here in the U.S., are examples of how we can bring technology solutions that really are addressing the fact that the digital lifestyle, more and more customers are embracing the digital lifestyle. They want more personalized experiences. They want more channels to order and get their favorite food and beverage. And we're doing that. In addition, we found ways to use technology to help automate administrative tasks that partners in our stores have to perform. And we're allowing partners then to, through that automation, to spend more time with customers. Both of those things are elevating the customer experience at Starbucks.
Technology used to be just something in the digital field, but technology now more and more is infusing itself into the physical world now, into everything that we do. And what's amazing is what used to be delightful 5 or 6 years ago is becoming ordinary, right? 5 or 6 years ago, you push a button, and if you get your food within an hour, it's awesome. Now, if you don't get it within 35 minutes, what's going on? So I think tech forces us to raise the game, but it also creates extraordinary opportunities to create new experiences for consumers at home or at a business.
You represent one of the most premier growth companies in the world. There is a gloom, a shroud over our stock market. Some people can't even come to grips with why it is. you've got a fresh perspective. You've been at other companies. Can you try to put into context the gloom versus what you see when you look at your numbers every day?
I think the stock market is reflecting the uncertainty that you see in the macro environment, and the uncertainty and the beta used to be in the outskirts, right? Was emerging markets, et cetera. But it's in the middle now. You think about what's going on in this country, or the UK with Brexit, or France with the protests, et cetera. I think the volatility and the uncertainty coming into the developed markets is creating uncomfortableness within the market. But I think that innovation still goes on, digitization continues, growth continues. So I'm hoping that as this uncertainty passes, we're going to be okay. And I think what Kevin and I can do is build a great business, and eventually the markets will catch up.
His balance sheet, because of some disposals you made that are still working for you, you've been able to make the gloom work for you. I have seen a voracious buyback, the likes of which only a few companies have. You obviously are using whatever gloom is out there to be able to buy stock because your business is going to get better in 2019.
Well, certainly, Jim, we've committed to return $25 billion of cash to shareholders in the form of dividends and buybacks, over this 3-year fiscal period, 18 through 20. Just last fiscal year alone, we returned roughly $9 billion of capital to shareholders, and so we continue this fiscal year. We used the proceeds from the Nestle Global Coffee Alliance. We initiated a $5 billion accelerated share repurchase, and so we're in the market buying our stock back because we believe in the long-term growth agenda for Starbucks.
Dara, I just want to talk because a lot of us, Uber is in our cell phone. It's in our life, okay? Uber's become something, it's a verb. There are not many verbs that just got invented, frankly. But the one issue that had been with your company was whether it was run right. You brought in a man by the name of Tony West. We know Tony West is someone who is you can't buy Tony West. Maybe he was the toughest person Justice has ever seen. You and him together cleaned up the whole culture?
We are on our way to cleaning up the culture. I think as a company, we're doing the right thing. And Tony is not only a great general counsel, but he's a culture carrier for the company. He's a real leader for the company. But I wouldn't pretend that you can change cultures overnight. Kevin and I got to know each other, and one of my questions for Kevin is, how do you build this kind of culture that Starbucks has built? We want to do that with Tony, Nelson, some of the other folks on the team. It will take time, but I can't tell you how happy I am to have Tony on the team.
Okay, for you, your culture it's been unmitigated. Now, you had an incident in Philadelphia, my hometown. It could have festered. Talk about crisis. Talk about the way you handle it, because I think when we look back in the textbooks, it's going to be the way you have to handle something that is antithetical to everything you believe in.
Well, first of all, Jim, you got to say that when I saw the video of the two gentlemen who were arrested in our store, it was heartbreaking. But I knew at that moment that, as the CEO of the company, I'm accountable, and we've got to show up. I've got to show up. And so getting to Philadelphia, being on the ground and talking to everyone that I could talk to and learn from and understand why this happened, how this could happen, and then take action to ensure that it never happens again. Now, we're proud of the actions we've taken. We closed our stores for the afternoon on May 29th. We did the first round of training every month. We're continuing to drop new training modules to our stores, and it has made us a better company. It has allowed us to actually elevate the customer experience in our stores.
I have to say, from the point of view of seeing a lot of CEOs address an issue, you got in front of it. And that's why we talk about something like this. It could have been something we've talked about for a long time. I want to ask you, when you look at this palace, are you proud to be affiliated with these guys?
Oh, absolutely. And by the way, it doesn't take this palace to be proud to be affiliated with Starbucks. I've been in Seattle for a long time. Starbucks is an iconic company and brand around the world, but especially in Seattle. This is just a partnership that I'm really proud of, but a partnership we've got some work ahead of us to create a great experience for the consumer, and I think both companies are up for that.
Will it be something you mentioned in the prospectus for your IPO, and do you intend to beat Lyft to market?
Well, if there's a prospectus for the IPO out there, It
Well,
just might be mentioned.
We really have to lawyer up like that? Come on,
There's
it's you and me.
speculation
It's you
about
and me.
that. Yeah.
I mean, it's exciting.
You and me and everyone else.
All right, well, that's true. I'm not really off the record here. But there's a lot of people who want to own shares in a company that they love. I mean, look, we love Tesla. People own shares in Tesla. The Uber, just where's your penetration now in Uber, and where will it be 5 years from now, if you don't mind?
You know, what's amazing is that while we're a big company and we're a significant part of urban transportation, we account for less than 1% of miles driven in the U.S. So actually, the penetration, what's incredible about this company is that when you talk about the transportation market, this is a $6 trillion global marketplace. And while we're perceived as a big company, we don't think we're a big company. We have a long way to go, and we have many markets to penetrate
They're
into.
telling me we only have a few seconds left, but I have time for this. How have you empowered individuals? Because I think both of you are emblematic. This is a theme of mine for 2019. You have empowered individuals. Talk about it.
Well, listen, we essentially have over 3 million driver partners who are micro-entrepreneurs. They run their own businesses. They provide terrific service for our customers, and they get to earn money on the platform on their terms.
You?
Well, we took our shareholders through yesterday what we're doing to accelerate the velocity of innovation at Starbucks, and this partnership's a great example of that. We had a small virtual team from Starbucks and from Uber that actually co-created and developed the software that's needed to integrate the Uber Eats experience into the Starbucks experience in a very short period of time.
Well, I like people who put people to work.